It seems obvious that if you receive a check from a stranger, don't cash it, but you'd be surprised by how many people do. Bankers tell us it's because scammers are masterminds in convincing victims to go along with their schemes, even telling them that if a bank starts asking questions, it's because they want to charge fees. Email after email, viewers want to know if the check and instructions they were sent are legitimate.
They sent me this check for $2,320.
The jobs are different. Mystery shopper, car wrap program, work at home, but the pitch is the same. Deposit the check, keep some of it for yourself, and wire the rest to someone else. So they do, and then this happens.
3 or 4 days later, I checked my bank account, and it said minus the amount that was on that check.
Why would a bank deposit the funds in your account if they're not sure the check is real? Kathleen Murphy, president and CEO of the Maryland Bankers Association, said it's the law.
There's federal laws that govern that. And there's also consumer demand. Consumers want to have access to their funds immediately when they deposit a check.
Which is why you may think the check is good, but really it's still being processed.
The check has to clear through what's called the Federal Reserve System, and the check may be deposited in your account, but it's drawn on an account in another state. So all of that, the processing that occurs there takes 3 to 5 days.
According to the Federal Trade Commission, fake check scams are up 65% since 2015, with a median individual loss of nearly $2,000. And people in their 20s are more than twice as likely than people 30 and up to report losing money. The unfortunate part is once the money's sent, it's nearly impossible to trace or reverse.
If the bank does something wrong, the customer is protected. The challenge here is if the customer puts the funds in their account, they're responsible for that activity.
Meaning if you deposit the check and send it to someone else, you're likely on your own. Bankers will work with customers to identify a fake before it's deposited, but these days the checks can look so real.
Just think about imaging equipment. It's gotten so much more sophisticated. And in fact, even researching for the story, there are watermarks now that they can even put to make it look like a real check. But oftentimes, something about it is remiss.
Look at the name of the bank. If it's one you know, give them a call. If the name on the check doesn't match the person you're communicating with, that's a red flag. If the bank is in a different state than the sender, that's another warning signal.
You don't read the fine print, you look at the monies and say, money signs.
Scammers are banking on people not knowing how deposits are handled. The important thing is to not be drawn by the promise of quick cash. And now with mobile deposit, it's easier than ever to just snap a picture of the check and watch the money appear in your account, which is why if you have any questions, visit your bank. There's something called Know Your Customer, where bank tellers are trained to flag transactions that are out of the ordinary or may ask you questions if a check seems suspicious.
That is Mallory's FASTA reporting, and I always say it's important to point these out to your parents and your grandparents as well, because you can bet they're getting those fake checks in the mail, and it is important to report that fraud if you experience it to the bank. They do try to work with one another to keep track of those transactions and prevent people from being victims again.
And if you spot a scam, report. Or if you spot a scam, you want to report it to the Federal Trade Commission. Mallory has links on our website, WMAR2news.com/matter for Mallory. So easy to find. And if you have a matter for Mallory, she wants to hear from you. You can email her at mallory@WMAR.com or find her on Facebook and Twitter.